Hello. Right, I know I kind of said in the last stream that I may not actually record anything today. Today is Saturday. I'm taking a chance here because I'm hoping that the stream is actually still being uploaded to YouTube whilst I'm doing this. I just might be overloading the laptop a little bit. Oh, it's only got a few minutes left. And then it'll be ready. That's good. Right. But you see, the thing is, I am that close to finishing this sheath. All I've got to do is sew this. I'm excited and I want to get this done. So, here it is. This is what it looks like when things are inside it. It weighs a lot. Yeah, it's quite a hefty chunk here. But then, mind you, it's a hefty knife. Hopefully the microphone sounds a little bit better now as well. I spent a little bit of time last night with Lou and Gregor just mucking about trying to figure out the settings a bit more on it. Hopefully it's a bit more balanced and actually sounds like me and there's a little less distortion going on. Right, so what we've got to do, I've already marked this up for stitching. I've just got to put the physical marks for stitching in it and then start sewing. So let's put this somewhere safe over here out of the way. Now, just fair warning, I am going to be using a maul and I am going to be tapping the leather, tapping these. It might be a bit noisy. I've done what I can to suppress the noise through the microphone. Fair warning. I'll try and keep the volume down. Right. Now, because I've had a little bit of discussion yesterday, I think I'm going to use green thread on this. But at one point, I have multiple lines of stitching here. So I'm thinking I'm going to go all the way around the outside in green, and I was going to follow red along the edge of the blade, along the edge of that bit there. So I'll have two colours of stitching, both of which work quite well with this this colour. Right. I'm not worried about this at all. Now, somewhere around here, I'm always losing this. Can you see it? No. No. Hang on. First cut of the day. It's alright. That's what I'm looking for. It's just a little piece of wood. Believe it or not, I actually spent money on this. There's a gentleman called Nigel Armitage here on YouTube. If you see him, his videos are worth watching. I learnt a few things from him as well. So I would definitely go and watch certainly his videos on saddle stitch. Very informative, very good. But one of the things that he does is when he's using his pricking irons or stitching irons, trying to get them back out can be difficult. And if you work it back and forth like this in the leather, let me just point this down a little bit so you can see what I'm demonstrating. Yeah, if you get it in there and then you can't get it back out, and you start working it back and forth, all we do is bend the teeth, and that buggers up your because these are expensive. I mean, I think it's something like Lou. Yeah. How much did this set of pricking irons cost me? Yeah, she just said stupid amount, about 70 quid. So these came from Abbey, England. So you don't really want to bend these. I did bend one because I'm an idiot. But what you do is, if that is wedged in there, the easiest way to get it out is to be able to put this right next to the pricking iron, and then you can just lift it out like that. It does work, believe it or not. You don't have to go out and spend a £5 on it like I did with this one, but I just wanted to support Nigel's channel. By all means, go and buy one if you wish. Where did you get them from? ArmitageLeather.com, made in conjunction with JustWood.com. Not sponsored. Feel free to go and have a look if you wish. There's a few little interesting designs on them. But it does help. It really does help. So I'll keep one handy, even if I can't remember where I put it and can't find it. I do keep them handy. Righty-ho. So where are we going to have our first? Now, there's no way that this is going to go all the way through this leather. What I am going to have to do is make sure absolutely I've got this perfectly lined up. see it's not lining up quite the way that I want it to, so I'm going to use a slightly shorter one. I don't think that there's enough room there for a stitch in that. So I'm going to go back to this one. The width of this piece of leather, I really want the stitch to fall in just the right place. I don't want it to be splitting the edge of the leather. Deliberations. So I don't normally hammer the stitching iron as far in, the pricking iron as far in as this. It's just not required to do so. But because of the thickness of this leather, I'm going to go in as far as I can on it. Just gives me a helping hand with the awl, you see. Wonder if I need something underneath that to hold that up a bit. Just bending it. There we go. Distance is just not quite right on that, going too far. All right. Probably should try and support it a bit more like that. That'll help me get that in there properly. I think I've just seen a customer going to the other door. I'll go and close the separating door. I think we've got a customer, Lou. Lou? Yes. Okay, I didn't get a response, sorry. Somebody got out of bed on the wrong side this morning. do is I'll turn at that point. Now, the welt at this point along here is a lot thicker. So I was going extremely carefully along here to make sure that the welt, the stitch went through the welt and didn't come out either side of it. I think I've achieved it. To be honest, I would have absolutely no way of knowing. Probably not until the knife cuts it on the way in or out or something, and it starts to come loose. But I'm pretty sure about the way I've marked it up. We're going up and over that bit there. There's still a little bit of a curve going on here, so a lot harder to get that one to go in. These stitching, bricking irons from Abbey, I have to say, I am impressed with them. This is the second set that I've bought. The only problem is that, as I say, I did bend one of the ones from my previous set. Just an accident. It just happens. And unfortunately, I couldn't buy just that one as a replacement. They all come as a set, and that's it. So that was the only frustration that I had. I gave Harry a bone from the butcher's this morning. He's rattling it around over there. I don't think the mic's picking it up, but see, that's just a little bit tight. There we go. Start to curve again slightly. Yeah, that seems to work out quite well. Now I'm not going to stitch right away to the very end here, because that's a really good point for the knife just to be able to slice through. Also, the welt is a little bit thin there too, even thinner than it is over here. One of those things that I maybe should have paid a bit more attention to is not curve the sheath around like that, and then I'd have had a slightly thicker welt. I am going to go back and review this and think about how I could do things differently. You point out the faults on it and point out the pluses on it. But I'll do that later when I've actually managed to assemble it. Alright, so this is the second line of stitching that's going to follow the edge of the welt along the bottom there. very close to the edge there. Do I skip this? See, this is the... Do I skip that one? I think I'm going to put that in. Tentatively tapping it. Right. I think my marking out line there got a little bit waffy. That's still working, but I'm going to stop there because even though it matches up, even though the stitch matches up, it kind of falls between two stitches, so the distance is right to go right up to the next line of stitching, but I think I'll just try and use the existing hole from the previous stitch line that goes along the top here, if you see what I mean. I don't know if you can. No, I don't think. Oh no, that's a good bit clearer, isn't it? Yeah. So where this line comes up to meet this line coming along here, the distance is right for me to put another hole in, but it would be underneath the horizontal stitch line there. So I'm going to stop there and then just use one of the stitch holes in the top. As I said, you notice that nothing comes through on the other side. There's no stitch holes there at all. That's why I have marked it on both sides as symmetrically as I can, so that when I push the awl through, I'll know if I'm still coming up in the right place on here. Now we get to stitch it. Right. So we're going with green all around the outside with a red line on the inside. This is actually quite a colourful sheath, really, isn't it now? It's going to be really colourful. Where's my pony? Again, let's put something on the inside of this. Just to provide a bit of support for it. You alright, little guy? I'll go and drink. Oh, excuse me. And as if by magic, a dog appears. A friend just stopped by then, actually, that's why I just paused, because he was having a quick chat. And Harry is really quite good friends with him, and leaps all over him, and makes a big fuss. It's quite entertaining to watch, actually. But yeah, then he wanted to get up on my lap and relax again. You exhausted yourself, didn't you? So now I've got to try and figure out how to get you off so that I can carry on, because I am that close. Let's see if he'll do this, because I did actually teach him something. Okay, Harry. There we go. Good boy. Do you want to go in your bed? Want to go in your bed? There we go. Ooh, get myself moved around a little bit here. Good boy, Harry. Well done. Your heater on. Your heater should be on. This bit here is an infrared heater. I've turned it on for him. He absolutely loves it. Alright. Making sure we're in frame. Let's just sew this together then. Oh, I need that. Where'd my snips go? I've lost them, haven't I? Are they in there? Did I move? Ah! There they are, over there. Let's get some needles. They look reasonably straight. I'll use those. I'm kidding. I'm not kidding. Right, this is really thick. So this has, because the thickness of the leather will actually use a lot of thread. I'm going to have to think about this, and yeah, let's just make sure I've got more than enough. I'd much rather use too much than not enough. It's not the most expensive thread, but it is good thread. It's quite heavily waxed. It's synthetic, so it shouldn't rot. You alright down there? Why are you sitting there looking at me? Is it because your toy is in the way? Right. I wonder if I can get away with moving that a bit closer. I really wouldn't recommend holding needles in your teeth. You could just pick that up and move it out of the way, you know, dog. Alright. Before I start this, I'm just going to see if I can move that camera a little bit closer so you get a better idea of what it is I'm doing. And just so you don't have to witness this, I will pause it. Right, there we go. So you got a slightly better view, I think, I hope. So we're going to cast on the stitch here. So I normally do is that going through? Oh my word, that's nearly the entire. Oh. That's nearly the entire depth of the awl. Oh. Alright, let's see how well this works then. This is a really difficult bit because this is like, I end up using a pair of pliers for this, I think. No, this is the point at which I'm sewing through 7 layers of leather. An insanely long amount of thread. This has obviously been turned, wood turned, this handle, and you can see where that's where the lathe would have held it. But it's quite handy because it's somewhere to put the back end of the needle on and push. Right, how would I have done that? That's like that. Yep. Yeah, this is going to be fun. This is probably going to take me a while, this. No, I sorted that. Having done the first stitch and I've already pierced the thread. That's so frustrating. I checked that. It's one of the things you're supposed to try and avoid when you're stitching, is piercing the thread like this. At which point did I do that? Oh, I did that on the previous stitch as well, didn't I? Okay, that just means take it all apart and start again. I could have sworn I checked that. So I just did that for demonstration purposes. That's how you do not do it. Am I able to... What's at the other end of this? Is that... Okay, right. Maybe I won't have to completely start again. So what you do is you do a little check every time you pull the thread through to make sure you haven't pierced the needle through the thread inside the stitch or inside the leather. How best to describe it, but what you saw there was the fact that I had, and even though I checked it, somehow I'd missed it because it's so thick. Maybe it was I just didn't put it through far enough to double check it. Ooh, sorry. Just punched the microphone. That's probably made a really nice noise on the recording there. go. So hopefully we can just start stitching now. This is insane. Bloody hell. Oh, this is where everything else on the desk is getting looped up by the, it's like lassoing stuff on my desk as I'm going with the excess thread. Right. This is going to be really yep. Right. Apart from the casting off, those are often the hardest stitches. I'm going to do myself an injury trying to do this. Push that too far now. Hello, dear.
Hello.
idea.
Never counted up.
No, I didn't get a chance to. No.
Seems to be 90 feet up.
Right, I think you guys have got the idea of just how difficult this is going to be. I'm having to use pliers to pull it through and everything like that. So I'm going to pause and come back when possibly I'm a bit closer to the end, because it's just going to be lots of this rinse and repeat. So I'll come back in a minute. Alright, okay. It's been a little while. We've had customers and my mum's been in to talk about the bag that I'm going to start making. So we now know which one she wants, because she's got the leather and everything here. So I'll probably start on that at some point next week, I imagine. I've also moved the camera back away because I kept punching it. I was trying to pull the thread through and get punching the camera. It was a good job I did turn it off, because that wouldn't have looked good. Turns out that 5 layers is perfectly doable. That's easy enough to stitch. 7 layers, I figured out a way of doing this. I think part of the problem was that as the awl comes out the other side, the awl tapers to a point. But because I'm almost at the full extent of the depth of the blade, it wasn't making the hole very big on this side, because it was only catching the very end of the blade. So if I just poke it back in the other side slightly, I should find it a lot easier to pull the needle through. At least I have done up to this point, and of course now I've turned the camera back on and said, hey, I figured it out. The only thing is, it does tighten up quite a bit on this part of the stitch, because I'm pulling it through a hole that's already got a thread inside it. And that's just when I need to use the pliers. So I'm just coming along the bottom of the sheath now, where the sleeve for the fire steel will go. And if I, as I say, just poke it the other side, widen that hole slightly, makes it a lot easier to get the needle through. Not by much, but it is easier. Ooh, I just did that without the pliers. 7 layers. It's nearly 14 millimeters. This. Let's just have a look. Let's see how thick this is. It's closer to 16 millimeters actually. And you know what I also didn't do? I didn't sharpen the oil. I didn't give it a buff, so. This might help. Oh. Good grief. I think what I'll do is I'll show you how it's coming out. There you go. The back side of it, what I'll do is the first couple of stitches I'll put my finger over so I don't show you that bit. That came out quite badly. I didn't like that. But the back is not coming out all that bad at all, really. It just took me a little while to get used to on the first few stitches. There we go, I'll show you. They're a little bit waffy. It took me a little while to get used to sewing that thickness of leather again. That way around, isn't it? Yeah, so I'm going to carry on because this is going to be quite slow because of the thickness here. And I'll still have to sew through it all over again when I come back with the red one. So I guess I'll pop back in once I've actually got to that point. It's making it quite a short video today actually, but there's a lot getting done with this sewing. And once this is done, the sheath is complete. That's it. So I better get cracking with this. This is really frustrating. You saw just how much thread I pulled off. It was 2 of my arm spans. It's about the most that I could feel comfortable with using. Oh, the camera, because let's move it around a bit more. Yeah. Great. That would be the... Where'd that go? It normally lands on the point and bends it. It didn't that time. Yeah, I had like 2 arm lengths. I'm 6'3", so that was like a shade over 12 feet of thread, and I have just run out like 2 inches from the end. Probably needed about another foot of thread. I'm just trying to cast it off. Which side's the back? It's so difficult to push through. I've really gone about as far as I possibly can with it. Yeah. That is it. Can't do any more. Right, I'll singe that down in a moment. So I've basically just got to start again with a That is so frustrating when that happens. It's so typical. What you do when you cast off is you normally go back at least 1.5 or 2.5 stitches and come to the back of the piece, because that's where all the unsightly stitching is, where it's all gone wonky because you're trying to sew through nearly 16 millimeters of leather. Normally when you're using the awl, if it starts, you can see where it's starting to come through, and you can go, okay, is that in the right place or not? Yes. And that is the case still here. I can see whether it's in the right place or not, but because of the thickness of the leather, even backing the awl out and trying to push it through in a different place, there's no way to correct it. You really can't correct it. So, yeah. And you can see the only place that I'm actually going a little bit wonky is when I'm sewing through the 7 layers rather than the 5. I don't know why it makes that much difference. Maybe the stitching irons, the pricking irons, didn't go as far through, obviously. So there was less guidance there for the awl as it goes in. Don't know. But if I get it wrong, it's really difficult to correct. So, yeah. It's fun and games at the moment with that. I'm that close to actually finishing this. The shop actually closes in 20 minutes, but as I say, I am that close to finishing this that I am going to finish this. And then I'll get some quick photos of it and put it up on the Facebook page or something, I think. There we go. So that's finished that part of the thread properly. By burning it like that, using a synthetic thread and burning it like that, you just basically melt it and there's no way it's ever going to come undone. Right, time to cast on. This is quite probably far too much thread, but you need a certain amount to actually be stitching with anyway. I'll get on with this. Can't believe I ran out of thread. It's just bloody typical. Okay, get going, Ben. Ooh, it's now 3 o'clock in the afternoon and this thing is kicking my butt. I've pretty much given up trying to keep it neat on the back here. I'm doing as much as I can, but yeah, it's like I've gone back 5 years. I haven't done as untidy a job as that for a long time. But then, I don't often get to sew through 7 layers of leather by hand. It's not something that comes up very often. So I'm learning quite a lot as I'm going. Hands are killing me. But I'm nearly there. I just wanted to record something to make sure that the computer didn't crash or the file didn't corrupt or be silly like that whilst I'm doing this. So I've just got to nip out to a shop to get something before they close. I'll come back and I'm going to carry on then. Right, that's got that. Oh, I've closed the shop now properly. Actually locked doors so I can take that off. Nice not to have that around my neck now. Now then, I'm just getting to the point where I'm going from 7 layers down to 5, and it's a lot easier to sew, comparatively. This should be the last stitch on a 7 layer one. Whew. Is that coming out? is that coming out on? Oh. Probably going to be a few people that might watch this video at some point and sit there and say, "Are you just sewing? How can that be difficult?" You try it. It's exhausting. Yeah, I'm starting to use the pliers and the 5-layer stuff because I'm just getting tired. My hands are starting to get quite sore. And yeah, put them in a bowl of ice tonight. At least I've got enough thread. Ah. Last couple of stitches on here. Down to this is quite probably only to be. Oh no, got it through. Oof. Right, take this off. I still got a little bit of stitching to do across the top of the belt loops. That shouldn't take me too long to do. Famous last words. Ah. And sew through. This is the last half stitch. Whew. Yeah, it's starting to feel a bit shaky and everything. It's crazy just how much this kind of thing does take out of you. How did they go? Oh. Pair of black snips on a black carpet. There we go. Yeah, the stitching on the back there where I was going through the 7 layers is absolutely horrifying. I haven't done stitching that bad for a long time. Looks a lot better from that side. But to be honest, yeah, it's a real challenge with the width of that, the thickness of that. Like I said, I think we worked it out about 16 millimeters thick. And that's really quite thick. Last bit to do is stitch across the top there. Yeah. I think that will... Then I'm debating it, but I'll most likely drill a little hole in this and try and attach it to this. Even if I just punch a little hole in here somewhere just to... so that it isn't held only by friction. that's going to take a little bit of working out to just figure out where I need to put that exactly. But I want to be able to just push it in there to keep it out of the way whilst I'm working on something using a knife. Stop it from dangling, etc. Well, to be honest, it could just poke straight back in there, couldn't it? If it's tied on, if it's attached in some way, just poke it back in the sheath. It's not going to come out, is it? Being a bit of an idiot, really, aren't I? I'll maybe try that first. Before, because I can always come back and sew them. But that gives me a bit of versatility, a little bit of movement. Yeah. Okay, I'm reasonably happy with that. Let's just, tell you what, let's put it on the belt and see how it works. Right, so I've taken my colossal Aran jumper off. I'm sucking my stomach in like this, but that's it on the belt, on my hip there. It's not exactly a small knife, but the idea is that you can pull that out, and pull that out. As I said, I'll probably just tuck that back in there. Yeah, okay, already hit a problem there. Definitely needs to have a bit of string on that, I think. So, do what you need to do. If you need... I'll get used to this in a bit. And then we can... yeah. Always good fun, that. Gotta get it just right, though. There we go. Lots of bits of magnesium everywhere. Yeah, there's a little bit of movement in it because obviously it's quite a larger loop. I think I possibly might just sew them to tighten them up a little bit. There we go, and put the wedge back in. Bullseye. It's almost like having a sword on your hip. Alright, there we go. You didn't need to see me try and undo my belt and everything. Finished. Woo. Yeah, no, I just said that I might sew it to tighten it a little bit there. Yeah, definitely need to put a piece of thread on that, or a bit of string or sinew or something on that, just as I don't lose it. I could even just lose it inside the sheath and then have to go through a palaver of trying to take my belt off to shake it out again. So that definitely needs attaching to it in some way. Minor job, probably just end up having to punch a hole somewhere about here-ish and drill a hole in that and just attach a piece of thread to it. Yeah, it's not going to be a big job. But I think after I've used it a couple of times, I'll get a feel for it, how it's going to work, etc. I'll go out, do some bushcraft camping or anything, whatever. So my daughter and I were planning to go out towards the end of the month, which will be next week. Just got to see what the weather's going to be like, really. Hopefully it'll be a bit calmer, a bit more settled. Fingers crossed, and then we could go out. We're only going to be going into a grandmother and grandfather's paddock. Don't worry, I'm not taking a 7-year-old out into the wilds and hoping to survive the night. We'll be about 100 metres away from a bedroom and a bathroom. It just beats our own back garden, if you see what I mean. She's 7. Give her some grace on that. So I'm overall quite happy with how it came out. I did do a lot of deliberations and workings out as I went and silly things like that. That's kind of how I work. I'm not an artist. I'm one of these people that tends to get the image going in my head, which means that it is possible to change it on a regular basis, and it will change. My brain just works like that. If the way that I'm talking and what I'm saying to you isn't evidence of this enough, then yeah, that's the case. Happy with how it came out. It's a lot thicker and heavier than I thought it would be, but then I just hadn't thought about that. Yes, I'm liking that I've managed to make the handle a bit bigger for me to handle. And I haven't managed to cover up the decorative part of it. I'm still not 100% happy with how that came out, but that again is something that I can change in the near future if I wish, if it works out that way for me. The wedge, now that wedge being in there, I was really pleased with how that idea came out. It does seem to work, because I mean the knife is very solid in there. There is absolutely no way you're going to lose that. And that's what you want, really. You don't want to lose the knife. So a knife like this is your lifeline. And so is this. With these two items, you can build something, you can light a fire, you can keep yourself out of trouble, you get yourself into trouble. Certainly if you walk up the street with it on your belt, which I'm not allowed to do. Shame. But I can kind of see the point. But yeah, I'm happy with the knife, I'm happy with the sheath. I'm also happy that I finished the job. It's taken me, 3 days? 4 days? I'm currently working overtime at the moment. Trying to straighten my beard up. He's wearing these masks. It just makes the beard go wonky. Yeah, so any comments be welcomely received, good or bad. Please be gentle. And I will come back next week. I haven't decided yet because I'm still kind of new with this whole having to record and schedule it and everything with YouTube. This might just come out on Sunday. It might come out on Monday. I don't know. I doubt I'll actually be in the shop on Monday anyway. But I'll figure something out. I'll schedule it, etc. And the video will come out soon. And I will see you again soon. Mum has decided what handbag she wants, so it might well be a handbag project next week. I've got a big rack of shoes to do over there, so the next video might actually just be me repairing shoes for a short while. We'll see how that goes. But anyway, as always, stay safe, and I will come back soon. Hopefully, so will you. Take care, guys. Thank you. Bye.